Docker on your Ubuntu machine. Post that, we also looked at some of the basic commands for your Docker as to how you can check the version of your Docker, how you can check detailed information about your Docker and all those things. Hey Prokshit. So we will continue from there. The next thing that we are going to look at is some of the commands for your images. Okay. Now, images, we'll be talking in depth about this in some time, but what are your images? Your images are simply your templates. Okay, so it's simply a blueprint. It's a package that has everything that is needed for us to run our application. Now, at any point, if you want to see what all images you have on your local machine, then you can run this command docker images. So here, as of now, we will not have any images. Okay, so this will be empty. We don't have any images. So at any point, sorry. Okay. So at any point, if you want to see what all images you have, you can run this docker images command. So as of now, we don't have any images, but once we start working with the images, you should be able to see the list of all the images that we have. This is on your local machine. Okay. Then you have this docker pull command. Now at any point, if you want to download an image to your local machine, so in our case, we will be using Docker Hub, which will act as our central repository. So if you go to this hub.docker.com, okay, so that's your central repository to store your Docker images. Okay. Now here, if you go to this hub.docker.com, here you should be able to find all the images that are available for us. So if you go to this explore, here you can see all the images. So we have 10,000 images that are available for us to use. So you have Alpine, Nginx, Ubuntu, Python, Redis, Postgres, Node.js, Apache, Mongo. So you have images for everything. Now, all the images that you see in the Docker Hub, these are free to use. Anyone can use them, and you can see some of these images are official as well, right? So let's say, for example, I want to use the Nginx image, so you can go here and you should be able to see the image over here. Now let's say I want to download this to my local machine, so I'll simply use this docker pull command. So I'll be running this docker pull and then the image name. So if I run this command over here, so docker pull and then the image, this what this will do is this will go to the Docker Hub, search for that image, and then download that image to our local machine. So at any point, if you want to download the image to your local machine, we make use of your Docker pull command. Now at this point, if I run this Docker images once again, I should be able to see one of the image. So Nginx, that's the version, image ID, when this image was created, and what is the size of this image. Likewise, if you want to delete any images at any point from your local machine, we can make use of this docker RMI. So this is to delete the image from your local machine. So here I can use this docker RMI and then the image name, and this will delete the image from your local machine only. Questions? Okay.
Okay. No, sir.
Next, we'll look at some of the basic commands for your containers. So the first command we are going to look at is a Docker run. Now at any point, if you want to start a new container, if you want to create a new container, we make use of this Docker run command. Okay, so here, now let's say I want to start an Nginx container. Now, so there are two ways that you can work with this. You can use a Docker pull and then run the Docker run command. So this is to download the image, and this is to run the image as a container. Or you can directly run this command. So what this will do is this will look for the image. If the image is available on the local machine, it will simply use that image. If it's not available, it will download and run the image as a container. So essentially, you don't have to run this. even if you don't run this, your Docker run has a feature which will download the image. If the image is not available, it will download the image and then run that as a container. Does that make sense?
Got it, Abhi.
So here I can say Docker run -dit. I'll talk about this command in a bit and then the image. So what I'm telling here is I want to start a new container. All right. So Docker run, which is to I want to start a new container. Then I'm passing this option -dit. Now D, it stands for detached mode. I stands for interactive. So you're telling I will be interacting with the container, and then T is for your terminal. So you're telling, when I'm interacting with the container, give me a terminal. So that's the option. So at any point, if you want to interact with the container, you have to make sure you pass these flags. Then I have passed this -p. -p is your port mapping. Okay, so this -p, it stands for your port mapping. If you have any web application, all right, so your web application will always be running on certain port numbers, right? Now, if you want to access that application, you have to make sure you're doing a port mapping. If you don't do this port mapping, you won't be able to access the application. So we'll talk more on this in some time. Now here I've given 80:80. Now the left hand side will be your host machine port number, and the right hand side will be your container port number. Okay, so for now, just understand this. I'll be talking more on this, and then the image name, which image you want to run. I'll take this command and I'll run over here. So I can see here, unable to find the image locally. So it will check whether the image is available or not. If the image is available, it will use that. If it's not available, it will download the image and then create a container for me. So now here, if I run this Docker images, you see my image has been downloaded and a container has been created. The next command we have is your Docker PS. Now, if you want to see the containers, what all containers you have, you can make use of this Docker PS command. So here you can see we created one container over here, and this is the container we have created. That's the container ID, the image we have used, the command that was executed, when this was created, since when this is running, the port mapping that we have done, and the container name. Okay, so at any point, if you want to see what all containers that you're running on your machine, you can make use of this Docker PS command. Next, you have Docker PS -a. Now, I'll create this container once again. So I'll simply run this Docker run nginx. Now, in this case, if you see, I have not used this -dit options or the port mapping. Okay, so I'll run this. This will also create a container for me. Sorry. Okay, so this will also create a container, but in this case, if you see, it has created it as a foreground process. So if I cancel this, the container will also exit. So let's do one thing. So I'll say Docker run -d, that means in the background mode, in the detached mode, and then the image. So this also created a container for me. Now, if I run this Docker PS command, I'm able to see both the containers. Now, in some cases, what happens is it won't show you the containers. The containers would still be there, but it won't show it to you. So for example, let's try Ubuntu. Okay. Now, I created a container, but it is still showing me only two containers, so nginx and nginx. So by default, your Docker PS will always show you the containers that are up and running. Now, if you want to see all the containers irrespective of the status, you can make use of this Docker PS -a command. So here you can say I have 1, 2, 3, 4. So in total, I have 4 containers. So irrespective of the status, if you want to see all the containers, we can make use of your Docker PS -a. And if you want to see only the containers that are running, you can use Docker PS. Then you have Docker stop. Now at any point, if you want to stop a container, I can simply use this Docker stop and then the container ID. And this will go ahead and stop the container for us. So you can see exited 2 seconds ago. Likewise, if you want to start the container once again, you can simply use this Docker start and then the container ID. This will go ahead and start the container for us. Okay, so now here my container would be running again. Questions?
No, Ravi. No, sir.
Okay. Then we have few commands for looking at your system resources as well. So if you want to, understand how much of memory, like here, if you have two containers running, you want to know how much of memory it is utilizing, how much of CPU it is utilizing, then you can use this Docker stats command. So this will give me, so I have two containers. So this will only show you the information for your containers that are up and running. Okay, so that's one container. So it does not have any CPU utilization. That's your memory utilization, your network input output, your storage, and all that information. This is the second container. Again, how much of memory you're utilizing, your network input outputs, all this. This is in real time. You're seeing. So I told you that your containers will automatically take the resources it wants. So here you can see it only needs so much of memory. It is taking that and it is running the containers for us. Okay. So at any point, if you want to see what all, how much of resource your containers are utilizing, you can make use of the Docker stats command. Then you have Docker system DF. Now this is for disk utilization, the storage. This is for your CPU and RAM. Let me cancel this. And if I say Docker system DF, this is for your disk storage utilization. So I have two images. This is the total size of it. I have 4 containers, out of which 2 are active. That's the total size of it, and how much I can claim. So, because there are 2 inactive, I can claim that back. And your local volumes and your build cache, that information. So basically, your hard disk capacity, how much of it, how much of your hard disk is being utilized by your containers. That information we can get by using this command. And then you have this Docker system prune. Now, at any point, if you want to remove any unused data, then we can go ahead and run this command. So Docker system prune, and this will give you a warning. So this will remove all of your stopped containers, all the networks that are not being used by at least one container, all the dangling images, all the dangling build caches. So if you confirm this, this will go ahead and delete. So we can see deleted 2 containers. So the containers which were not running, which were not active, those containers are deleted, and I've got this space back. So you'll have to be careful with this. You may need it in the future, but if you run this command, your container, your Docker will go ahead and delete it. So you'll have to be a little careful with this. And once you delete it, it is gone. You won't get it back. Questions?
No, sir. Ravi.
No,
Cool.
Robbie.
Now, these are some of the basic commands that we have for your system, your images, and your containers. Now, we'll look in depth about your images. It's the Docker image. So it's important that you understand what your Docker images are. So, in a nutshell, your Docker images are simply a template. The container that you want to run, all the information about what application you want to run, on what port number you want to run, which process you want to run, all that information will be available within your image. So it's a template, it's a blueprint for running your application. Without an image, you cannot start a container. So your Docker image is a file, and it consists of multiple layers which are used to execute your code in a container. When you start a container, all these layers which consist of your execution code, it will start executing one after the other, which will start the container for you. So when the user runs the Docker image, it creates one or more instances of the Docker containers, and a Docker image will consist everything that is needed for us to run the application. Anything, the binaries, the libraries, the application code, the processes, the services, everything will be available within this Docker image. So Docker images are immutable, meaning they cannot be modified, but can be duplicated, shared, or deleted. So once you create an image, you cannot modify it. If you want to modify, you'll have to again create a new version of that image. All right. So it is immutable. All right. So a Docker image is made up of multiple layers. So this is how it works. You'll always have a base image, or you can start from scratch. On top of that, you'll have your instructions, the modification instructions. Like, you want to update something, install something, your copy instructions, you're starting a service. So all these will be in the form of a layer. So this will be one layer, this will be one layer, this will be one layer, that's another layer, that's another layer. So all this is going to be a read only instructions. All right. So once you create an image, you cannot modify this. If you want to modify this, you'll have to again create a one more image out of it. Now this, using these instructions, you'll be creating your container. So when I create a container, all these instructions will execute for me. So it could be, you want to start a service, so your container will start it. You want to copy something, it will be copied to your container. So this container layer will be your read or write layer. So you can interact with this container, you can read the data, all those things are possible. So your image, it's your read-only template with all the instructions needed for us to start your container. Questions?
No, Ravi.
All right. So let's look at, we already saw 3 commands as part of your images. There are more commands that we have. So we'll be looking at those commands. So the first command we are going to look at is a Docker image build command. Now, we can use this command whenever you want to build your custom images. I won't be showing you this example as of now. When we come to the part to create our custom images, there I'll show you how you can use this. But we can use this command to build an image. So if you want to build your own custom image, we make use of this command. So you can use Docker image build -t, which stands for tag, the name of the image, and then the location where your Docker file is available. So I'll show you example for this. Then you have Docker image history. now, at any point, if you want to see the details about your images, so for example, I have this image. Now I want to see details about this image. So I can use Docker image history and then the image name. So what this will do is this will essentially give me all the instructions that are there in this image. Give me 1 minute. Yeah, so as part of this image, we have all of these instructions. So we have add file, we have CMD, label, environment variables, we have some copy instructions, entry point, expose, stop signal, CMD. So all these instructions. So this is basically a layer. So that's one layer, that's another layer, that's a layer, that's a layer. Likewise, all of these are layer. So all these instructions are available in this image. Likewise, if I look at Ubuntu, these are all the instructions I have in the Ubuntu image. So arg, label, add, and then CMD. So these are the instructions. These are the layers I have in the Ubuntu image. So likewise, if at any point, if you want to understand what all the layers you have, the history as to what all instructions you have in the image, you can make use of this Docker image history command. Questions?
No, Ravi.
No, sir.
No.
Cool. Sorry guys, I'll have to stop here. I need to go out and something to take care of. So that's it for today. Tomorrow we'll continue with this. I'll show you more commands related to this, and we'll also talk about how you can build your own custom images. We'll be talking about your containers, your building a custom image and all those things. So I'll do this tomorrow. Okay.
Sure, Ravi. Thank you.
Thanks a lot. See you tomorrow. Bye.